Welcome to the Comeback Blueprint podcast, hosted by Michael Sawan. This is the show about rebuilding after setbacks, burnouts, and life-changing moments. Real stories, real struggles, real comebacks. If you're in a season of change, you're in the right place. Hello and welcome to the Comeback Blueprint podcast. Today's guest is someone whose story honestly sounds almost impossible when you hear it all laid out. At just 36 years old, Krysti-Glory Gallo has survived stage 4 melanoma, a life-threatening haemorrhage after childbirth, and a rare neurological condition that left her in a coma and temporarily paralyzed. She spent months in hospital away from her children, learning how to walk again while battling pain, trauma, memory loss, and the mental toll of having your identity stripped away overnight. That sounds very familiar to someone that runs this show. But this conversation isn't just about survival. It's about generational trauma. So we've got a bit of depth to play with here. We've got motherhood, fear, resilience, and what happens when someone keeps rebuilding after life repeatedly tries to break them. Krysti is a published author. She's a business owner, a marathon runner, mother of two, and the author of the memoir, The Day I Died. Krysti, welcome to the Comeback Blueprint podcast.
Thank you. Just for future reference, I hate the name Krysti.
Have I said that wrong?
No, it's Krysti-Glory's full first name.
Got it. All right, Krysti-Glory it is.
KG is good. I get KG all the time because I know Krysti-Glory is a mouthful. But yes, nonetheless, I'm
gonna go in between. I'll go KG, Krysti-Glory as we go. And you can tell I have a bit of a tongue twisting going, so I might stick to KG.
It's fine. That's fine.
Now, thank you for reaching out. I really appreciate this, and it's a heavy one. The preface sounded a little bit like a few things I went through, not to your extent, but I could sort of go, I get the whole identity and memory loss and coma, and out of the blue. Yeah. So before we get into the heavier parts of your story, KG, let's go back. I want to go back down memory lane. How did you describe yourself growing up?
I guess from what my family have said, I was a very, very persistent child. I had a very strong character in me from a very young age, but still very innocent, probably until about maybe 12 or 13, when I guess all of the decisions of the adults around me were coming to a head and I was making sense of it all. But my childhood was a lot. It was chaotic at times and sad at times, and I think my biggest part in this memoir was to elaborate on that start of my life, but not make it look like this sob story. That was huge for me. It's not what I wanted. So I think truly to answer your question, I wasn't an amazing child. I was a very good, well-behaved child. I didn't sleep very well. I was up every hour apparently, and I was a bit of a fussy eater. All I wanted was noodles. But we lived very.
You sound like a very common child. I just want noodles and stay up all night.
I was not out of the ordinary. I wasn't this magical being born onto this earth, and that's why I guess the precipice of my book was to help the reader navigate. I wasn't born amazing. I learnt steps along my way, and taught myself these things and this sense of resilience and strength and how to pull from different avenues of life and where you are in life. So I wasn't born a magical human being. I was just a regular little girl, and I was very little, very, very little my entire life. So I was probably not...
What do you mean little? Just in size, stature?
In size, I was tiny. I was only like 5 pounds when I was born. I was full term. But I think maybe that navigated... I think now, thinking about it, when you're little, you're not looked at or treated the same as someone who's got a big stature or who is taller. You're treated a little bit more on the child side of it. And that carried me through, even into high school. I was the size of my school bag, essentially. They didn't even have a skirt small enough to fit me, so they had to go and get I was little, very, very little.
Yeah.
So I think in that physical side of me pushed me to find resilience and find strength and find confidence in who I was, and don't let the size of me be navigated or I guess determine the outcome of any situation. I was small, but like I am bloody mighty. So I think I was I was born into a family that helped me navigate that in a very kind and selfless way. And that has definitely helped me get through the events of my life for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, there were certain events and the way that you were brought up that allowed you to develop a resilience that paid off when the time mattered most.
Yeah.
They're quite fascinating moments, those full circle moments. They really are. So talk to me a little bit more about the environment that shaped you as a child. I've heard a lot about you. Tell me about the people around you.
My mother was brought up in a very strong Australian family, Victoria. There was, quite a bit of abuse there, her siblings and her. So in a way, coming into my own adulthood and raising my own children, I feel she wasn't really given any tools to navigate real world on her own. She got married very young to my biological father. And I truly think that was out of the fire into the frying pan type situation, or the other way around. Wasn't any better than the situation she was in, but I think she thought it could have been, and she wasn't prepared. They didn't prep her, and they didn't prep my auntie, and that's where those are the three pillars of me visualizing what I don't want to be like, what they continued to do and why they stayed stagnant and didn't see their self-worth, and they didn't do or kick any goals in life. They just were there. It's
a life of service, those immigrations, those
so
wives
true.
from those immigrant families.
That's a great way to put it. It really was. And she wasn't allowed to talk to boys. She couldn't, they pulled her out of dance, and when they moved to Queensland, they didn't put her back in school, and she was just a teenager. So they were just, I have a lot of questions, and I talk about this in my book, but they were just, I adore my grandparents, and there's a sense of guilt there on my end. Like, you treated my mum that way, you didn't help her, but why do I love you so much? Why have I got so much? When I think about them, my heart just, like, my nana's passed, unfortunately, quite a number of years ago. She had dementia and was riddled with cancer, and my nono now, he's got severe dementia, and he won't be around much longer. And I love them so much. And then there's a part of me that's like, why should I love you? You didn't raise
How do they treat you? How do they treat you compared to how they treat your mom?
Like a princess. Absolute princess.
So that's not uncommon. That's not uncommon. Yeah.
Me and my brothers. And I think if we really dug deep down, I think my mum would want to know why you didn't help me with my children and just, hand my children $20 when they needed it, or pick them up from school when they called you. We had no money. We had nothing, absolutely nothing. Scraping the bottom of the barrel, but there was never a sit down and going, hey, let's see how we can assist you. They owned a beautiful apartment on the waterfront in the Gold Coast. They owned all their cars. They had a big rainy day fund, and it just wasn't my granddad was very, very big on that. Don't spend your money. Keep it for the bloody rainy.
Gosh, imagine that luxury in 2026, a rainy day fund.
Can you imagine? Yeah. There was just no forward thinking. And I think because there was no forward thinking in that day and age then, my mother, and coupled with not having the confidence on her own, she was very shy and very timid. She wasn't prepared for the real world. And it really set her back. I wish so much that she was given more and taught more, so she could have kick those goals and those dreams that she deserved. She was into acting, and she's got a great voice, and she's very creative, and she had all these dreams, but they just didn't eventuate to anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are like as you said, sort of when you were growing up, there was a lot of this survival, that was passed down, as survival instincts.
Yeah.
And I think you wrote about sort of becoming highly intuitive as a result of that.
Yeah.
So I think you can look back now with, is it empathy or pity? What's the right word on mum? I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure at the time.
Maybe both, if we're being honest.
Probably, empathy. We'll call it that. But at the time, you're not aware of it because you're also surviving. So like I was glossing through your memoir, and I noticed that you wrote about that. We also wrote about being protective of your peace. So you were conscious of what's going on there.
Yeah.
So how are you receiving this information growing up?
I think it was from, I was neck deep in this shit. My mum she had severe depression, severe anxiety. She was raising 3 children on her own, wanting so bad to be, you know,
You the oldest?
yeah, I have 2 younger brothers. Yeah, one is only 2 years younger than me, and the other one's 11 years different. So
Oh,
there's a
wow.
big gap. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was neck deep in it with her. I was the shoulder she cried on when her partner left her. When I knew, we actually joke about this. I knew that she would eat as she was cooking dinner, and then give us our food, and then I would push my food to her and say, "I know you haven't eaten." I was only about 12 or 13 when I was doing that.
That's nice. Nice for you, not nice for her, per se. But
Well, that's the thing, and
Yeah.
I think I saw.
Nice of you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know it was nice of me back then. I just thought that's 'cause she hasn't eaten. She's my mother. He said, why wouldn't she? She deserves the food. She cooked it. But if you switched me around now, I can genuinely say that those moments taught me the what's the word? It's not a failure thing. The setbacks. So if we don't grow,
Setbacks. Yeah.
if we don't change, if we don't progress, if we don't learn new skills, if we don't make small mistakes and then stop making them and learn from them, we're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the mistakes just kept being made, and I don't pity her for that. I'm empathetic towards her for that, because we go back to, she was set out in this big wide world and truly was just so lost, and thought, I believe truly she thought having me and having my brothers was going to fill this hole and make her a woman and a great wife, and that's not what it's about. In fact, it's probably the worst thing she could have done.
Mm.
And I don't say that lightly, and I know she would never change what, you know, we had given to her. We are her absolute life, but at the same sense, she had a lot of life to live, and she should have.
Yeah.
Before digging her heels deep into building a family with a man she didn't love. She didn't love him. He was just a scapegoat, essentially.
Okay. I think you're right in saying that pity is not the right word, because I think pity would then take away your mum's achievements, and one of them is
100%.
you.
Mm.
And I think so. I think it is. And so on that achievement, being you, of course, and the wonderful life you've lived, and the remarkable person you are, just based on the 5 minutes I've known you. When did the conscious thinking come in to say, okay, the cycle stops with me?
I would say I fell pregnant at 17.
Okay.
This was my first boyfriend. I loved him so much.
So he's clearly an ex-boyfriend then. He's just like he's on the picture. Yep. Okay.
Again, not making the same mistake twice. See you later. This didn't work. Whatever. Yeah, I fell pregnant at 17. I'm about 3 weeks from my 18th birthday, and I had written her a note, and I had gone to the chemist and got the pregnancy test, had the pregnancy test, and was obviously shit scared.
Yeah.
Didn't know what was going to happen. I wasn't doing anything with my life. I'd only just graduated year 12. I was the first person in my family to graduate year 12. So that alone for me was a massive achievement. And I had goals. I had dreams of my own.
What kind of dreams did you have at the time? Do you remember?
I really wanted to go to uni and I wanted to be a dancer.
Yeah.
I was an incredible dancer, and I played soccer beautifully as well.
What kind of dance?
Contemporary and hip hop.
Okay.
I loved them. They were my life. And I did a little bit about outside of school, but yeah, dancing was my dream back then. It was all I did.
Beautiful.
And so when I gave her the letter, I'd written her a letter, and we sat on her bed, and I remember it like it was yesterday, and she'd read the letter and she giggled, and I was giggling out of nervousness, and she's like, "This is a joke." And I was like, "It's not a joke."
Yeah.
And she essentially said, "If you want to keep it, I'll help you." Like, she didn't believe in abortions. And to me,
what was your reaction when she said that?
Like, no, that's not happening. I'd already made up my mind. And I am so grateful to this day that I stuck. Anyone could have said, I could have been in that Darrow mentality that thought, I'll just go on the dole and I'll just live with my mum for the rest of my life and raise this baby with no father. The father and I had broken up. He was doing his own thing. We were just kids. But she was prepared for me to keep it. And that wasn't me. I wasn't about that life. I had things I wanted to do, and I wanted to see the world, and in all honesty, I didn't want to end up like her, and I didn't want to be scraping the barrel and struggling. I wanted to have a family, of course, but only when the timing was right.
And obviously with someone who was going to stick around.
Yeah.
That helps.
My father didn't stick around. My other brother's father didn't stick around. It was just it was just this ugly ass cycle that we're all trying to navigate. And it was dizzying. It was constant. And so I didn't want that for me. So that point right there was my out. And that just like boosted me straight from there. I still went through lulls in like when I was 18, 19. I just wanted to party and go and dance in the clubs. And I didn't really drink, but I just went partied and be with friends and went to the beach and all that jazz. But I knew I wanted something better for myself. And that would have been the moment that I figured that out. Yeah.
Well, you're looking at your mum, and your mum at the end of the day, her generational patterns is all she's ever known. So I think it was a surprise you said it, but at the same time, when you took a moment to step back, you're like, well, of course she was going to say that.
Sure.
So I think at the end of the day, your mum said what was in her heart was the truth. And when you decided that was going to happen, what was that conversation like afterwards?
She obviously checked that it was it, and we made the appointment. I think it was like the following week. I obviously went to the GP. I was still under the time frame that we could get it done. I ended up having like a mini seizure in the waiting room. I foaming at the mouth, and it was just stress.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wasn't a great experience. But
Is that a seizure like during the process?
No,
or
I was in the waiting room, and I'd looked.
Oh, okay.
One of my long-term friends was with me, my mum and obviously my boyfriend at the time. And there was a man sitting next to me to my right. And I looked at my mum and she went, "Oh, you're going to faint." And I looked back and my arms flung out and I hit the man beside me. I hit my friend on my mum and I just started foaming at the mouth. And they got me into the wheelchair and they just said it's just your body was reacting to the stress essentially. It just wanted to
of course.
shut down.
Well, you just made a big decision, so...
It was a big decision, but it was the right one, and I have not regretted it at all. I have not regretted it, and the life I'm living now has proven that to me 110%.
What were the first few days after that took place, after the abortion?
It was I wouldn't even say sadness. I felt relief and a little bit awkward because I was young and I didn't want to be a teen mum, but I could have been a teen mum. And what an idiot. Like, why would I have let that happen to myself? I'm such a planner. And we were safe, so I don't know what happened. I truly don't know what happened. I wasn't on the pill at the time, but I was just too young. So the days following, it was my brother's birthday dinner. I was bleeding little bits. And after that, my boyfriend and I were on and off for a little bit. He just wanted his own life, and he wasn't a bad person at all. I adored him, and I know he loved me. I know he loved me many years after we'd split up, but he just needed to grow up.
Yeah. You both had future plans, and something shook you too soon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And when we eventually split, he ended up going and doing what he should have been doing, and I made my first kind of step into the real adult world as a hairdressing apprentice working.
I was going to say, did you end up pursue dancing?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't. University wasn't on the cards.
Okay.
It was never really Googled for me. It was never really researched. I think the financial side of it scared my mum, to be honest.
Yep.
It scared me. All my other friends went to uni, but it wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What became, in those ensuing months and years, what then became your internal drive to build a different life to yourself from what your family had sort of embedded in you? What was the drive?
Probably the most cliche but honest to God answer is watching them suffer. My mum and my nan and my auntie. Yeah.
Because that was the tipping point, I'd imagine. It's like you've now almost come full circle to your mum in everything you didn't want to do. And so it's like, okay, God, I've got this second chance now. Like, let's take it seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, I just watched her, just suffer and just couldn't find someone to love her, the love she deserved, and she was chasing it in the wrong ways. And I love her so much, but I just don't know why she kept making the same mistakes over and over again and not learning from them. And it hurt my brothers and I, for being honest. It hurt us to see her the way she was and just dilapidated. She lost so much weight and her skin was just pale and she was just physically not
the person you recognized once. And could feed you and feed herself and then, preserve and...
Surviving, she was not living, and I just hate that for her. And my auntie was the same. My auntie had stayed with a man that abused her and beat her for since I was probably 5 or 6 years old till she passed. She was with him. And my nan, again, was no different. She was married to my granddad, who treated her very, very poorly and belittled her. And I just didn't want to be that woman in my family. Yeah.
It's interesting, as I said before, I said earlier, long before the medical trauma happened, you'd already grew up in an environment that taught you the survival skills you needed. So I think we can stay on this for a while, but I really want to get into the medical bits because I want to see how the connections happen. But you told the story of, let's go into the first near-death experience. We'll go in chapters if we can, but you tell the story of, I think it's the tiny pink dot on your arm. You might tell it better than I will, but you tell the story of a tiny pink dot on your arm that you jokingly named Freddie, and at the time you thought it was nothing. Tell me about Freddie.
So Freddie is the cause of this beautiful out of my arm.
Yep. This will be on YouTube so people can see it. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He was, as I mentioned earlier, I would beach it all the time. Who the hell wore sunscreen at 16, 17, 18, 19 years old? Who the hell?
And wogs don't do that. Like people
don't do that. I didn't have pale skin. I wasn't freckly. I wasn't blue.
We've got exactly. Yeah.
Nuts.
Maybe now it's different, but I'm talking like sort of back then.
100%. I'll lather up when I'm going bloody to the beach. Hey, my mum had been begging me for ages, please get it checked. I was like, it's fine. Like, it wasn't itchy. It was literally like if you cut a beautiful sized pea in half and just sat it there, and it was painted pink. That's what it looked like. Not itchy, didn't change color, didn't scab, nothing. And anyway, after a long time of nagging me, I was like, all right, I'll go and get it. I was 21, I believe. Yeah, and went to the skin clinic, got it cut out. He's like, oh, it looks fine. It's actually really pretty. He was commenting on how, like, the spherical, like, firmness of it. It was just this beautiful circle. And I would make jokes. I'd call him Freddie. Mum would be like, have you checked Freddie? I'm like, no, Freddie's good. Leave him alone. And then he cut it out. And it was about 48 hours, and I got a call, and at like 7:30 in the morning from a no-caller ID. And he said, the tests have come back. This is pretty serious. You've got to come in right now. We have to get you into surgery. Yeah. And I was like, what? Like, that's madness. What do you mean?
Did he tell you why? You just said you're coming in.
He said, we've sent it away. There are like bad markings on it. It's a rare one, so we need to get you in ASAP. And I was like, okay, can we just go public? And he's like, you're going to be waiting a long time, and because the length of time you've had it, we're convinced it's not going to be good once we get in there. So you have to go private. And I was like, okay, well, that's all our savings gone. So it was $7,500.
Wow.
Yeah, luckily we had cash that we borrowed some from my mum's partner at the time. Within that week I was in, and they were prepping my family. They just said, she's not going to make this. It's a rare one. It only affects 1% of the population.
She's not going to make this.
They told my family I was going to die. They said that the length of time she's had this on her arm, it's going to be in her blood, it's going to be somewhere else in her organs. There's no way it's just stuck to her arm. And my mum was honestly researching, like, going to Mexico to find treatments for me. Like, my whole family were told, my husband, my brother would talk to me because we're kind of emotionally withdrawn sometimes, so he was like, I just can't look at you. I had just got engaged. My husband's like, oh, this is, I've just lost my near wife.
Poor guy. Poor you. But
I didn't
so
feel...
hold on, so they said you're not going to make it, but they're like, we got to operate on it now.
Yeah.
So what were they hoping for? Like a 1% chance that they have some sort of survival hope in there?
They were basically just going to wait till they cut me open in there and just see. They tested the lymph nodes to see where the lymph nodes where it had gone to, cut all the muscle out, and they were going to know once they got in there.
Yeah.
And so my whole family was just in overdrive. She's dying.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Prayers, research, hopes, everything. Like,
seriously, yeah. I get in there, and still, I'm like, I'm not dying. This is so fine. My mum's like, why are you laughing? My brother's, I said, I'm not dying. It's all good. I'm in the waiting room. I'm giggling. My mum and I are making jokes. That's how I deal with shitty situations.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they take me in. I go in, and I come out, and they said it had not spread anywhere. It was just all in your muscle. So they took all my lymph nodes. They took literally my arm was just a big divot for many, many, many years. I had to have the ugly blue dye that sat under your skin. That was nasty. And I walked out. And just, that's mind-blowing to me that a surgeon, one of the best surgeons in Australia, works from Pindara Hospital and told everyone I was dying. And I just said, it's not happening. I don't feel this at all. And I survived that. And I've just got a lovely, beautiful scar on my arm. And I was ashamed of it for a little while because it was really prominent. But people look at it and if they ask, I tell them. Sometimes I say I got bit by a dog and that makes it well. But it is what it is. It's just another notch on my belt. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That takes me back to my story, and I'm not going to make it about me at all. But it just reminds me of when I got the diagnosis where it's like I went in for a quick check, and then, long story short, within a couple of days, I think within 3 days, I went from a diagnosis to having open heart surgery.
Wow.
And it's like, if you don't have it now, you're not going to make it till the end of summer. It was like December. And I was the only one cracking jokes the whole time. That was my coping mechanism. You know, I made a joke. It was like they showed me this video of like how they're going to do the operation. They've got to stick a tube down my throat and all that. I said, well, look, I was about to do the operation, but if they can stick a tube down my throat, I've got bad OCD. I don't want to be picking that scar forever.
100%. Yeah.
And they were like, oh, would you just shut up? Just like take this seriously, would you? And I'm like, we're dealing with it the best we can. So
Yeah.
Obviously I made it. I got a beautiful set of, I got like 5 scars or something, but you know, it's...
That's nuts.
But I do love your little coping mechanisms there. And yeah, of course you made it. Of course you're going to make it. Come on, with that kind of faith.
Yeah.
How couldn't you?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
How did you like, instinctively, I think you always believed you were going to survive. I don't even think it was a coping mechanism. I think you just know, like, if you know the worst, you know the worst. Like, you know, we sort of know.
Yeah.
So how was it like in recovery with them, those conversations?
Well, the best thing was that I didn't need any radiation or chemotherapy.
Cool.
The specialist actually just said it'll actually do your young body harm, so we would rather not. If it had spread anywhere, we would definitely be getting you in there, but they said we are 100% happy with how the surgery went, and I just get skin checks every year.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but they just said it was called a desmoplastic melanoma.
Desmoplastic melanoma.
Yeah, 1% population, and I didn't tick any of the boxes, not one of the boxes. So I think that may have been why they jumped to the conclusion that to find such a rare skin cancer on someone that wasn't fair-skinned, wasn't pure Australian, European heritage, dark features, I didn't tick any of the boxes. So it was just,
Yeah, I feel like you're my hospital sister. The doctors till this day, 15 years later, still cannot determine what my condition was called.
Interesting.
It's not Marfan's, it's nothing. We ruled out all what possible heart conditions it was, and they're like, it wasn't genetic, it was just, they cannot give it a name. It just happened like that and went like that. So it's pretty, that's a pretty, that's a cool tattoo to have.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And your young self was still planning for a wedding at the time. So what happened afterwards? How did we go?
Well, I nearly lost my life. So we planned, and we didn't do a big one. We did a garden wedding in the back of my my mum's property with her partner at the time, and it was such a beautiful day and in the peak of summer. And we ended up honeymooning it was like 6 weeks. We did Singapore, Thailand.
Nice.
And then we went on like a 11-day cruise with one of my school friends, the one that was with me at that abortion clinic. So,
okay.
And they got engaged on our honeymoon on one of the islands there. I can't remember what island it was, but it was such a great way to start our life together. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, and pay it forward and give someone else the space to get engaged.
I'm blessed I was part of that moment. Yeah, definitely.
So there's more to come.
Yeah.
But at that point, when it came to mortality, did you become fearless? How did you feel about it?
I think I am fearless. Yeah, I think truly up until that second ago, I probably haven't spoken about myself in that kind of term. But yeah, I guess I am. I lived life to whatever I could picture it to be, and I did everything I could to get it to paint. I paint these pictures in my head of what I wanted the life to be like and what I didn't want it to be like, and if I made mistakes along the way, I wouldn't make them again. And I'm very big on just learning from a lesson. It doesn't do you any good to dig yourself a hole deeper and deeper and then blame the universe or the timing of life. That's bullshit to me. I just think you truly are in control. And even when you're not in control, which we will get to, there is some sense of control that you can navigate and learn from, and I've always done that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then years later, life throws another major test at you.
Mm.
This time it's becoming a mother.
Yeah, so I had my first child at 24, so I was very young. Learned a lot through that experience. His birth was no drama. He had to be vacuumed out, but apart from that, I believe he's walked this earth before this child. He's a brilliant human.
Yeah.
He makes me very proud. But my second one, I mean, if you ever met him, it'd make sense as to the drama he put me through from day one. I was sick from about day one
You talk
till
about hemorrhaging.
24 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second birth.
Yeah.
Yep. So his morning sickness was all day sickness for ages, and I didn't love being pregnant with him. Finally, contractions started on December 17th, and I got into the hospital. I don't dilate very quickly, so I was sitting there just trying to make it work. And I ended up, the pain was very different. So different. And I only obviously had my firstborn to compare it to. And that's all I was doing. With my firstborn, I was walking, I was eating, I was so hungry, I was burning a lot of energy, I was laughing, and this one, I was just the devil. I could not foresee this working. And I asked for an epidural. They obviously tried to prolong that because it can make the pushing process a little bit longer. They gave me one in the end, and it had reversed, so I lost all feeling of waist up instead of waist down. So I'm trying to sit up in the hospital bed, and I'm like, I can't bloody feel my arms. And I'm like, oh my God, it's been reversed. So they said, do you want another one? This epidural needle is like this long, so it goes into the back of your spine.
Because it got a spine,
Massive. No worries, fine. And then finally worked. He came out. I pushed. So that was at maybe 10 p.m. I went into labour on the 17th. He was born right on 10 a.m. on the 18th of December. He was taking his sweet ass time, but he came out and he was just this most beautiful angel I've ever seen in my life. And then I'm holding him, and I just hear a splat. And the midwife pops up from the bottom of the bed, and she says to my mum, can you push that red button? And my mum's like, and my husband's on the other side, and I've still got my baby on my chest. And she pushed it, and she said, please push it again. And my mum's looking at like the bottom of the bed. My husband's looking at the bottom of the bed, and she's like, take the baby, to my husband. Please take the baby off your wife's chest. And so he took him, and he sat down on the hospital leather chairs in the corner. And I just remember looking at him, and I just faded. And that was my last image. My husband holding my newborn, my second child. And I honestly, in my head, I'd said, like, I love you, goodbye. Like, this is the last time I'm going to see you.
Oh my God.
And I came to, I don't know how long I was out, and I came to, and the doctor were buzzing everywhere, doctors, nurses, and putting cannulas in. My mum's standing here, they were wheeling my son out to make sure nothing had happened to him during the birth that they couldn't see. And my mum just said, you had absolutely no colour. You had no colour. Your eyes were just absolutely washed over, nothing in your lips. There was nothing, not a bit of colour in you. Everything had been drained. And I said, what happened? And they said, you've hemorrhaged quite severely. It was over like a litre of blood. And we don't know why, though. Like, my placenta was beautiful. I saw the placenta was healthy. There were no tears in it. There was no clotting. And they said, we don't know what's happened. I said, could that have been the pain? Like, my pain was so bad. And they said, we don't know, but we have to get the remainder of the blood out. And I was like, how the hell do you plan on doing that? Like, what? And she's like, we got to manually bleed you.
Yeah.
And so my raw stomach, she's just pushing on my stomach, pushing this blood out, and they don't know where it came from. They don't really know why. Like, only 5% of mothers hemorrhage, and they said, I don't know what's happened, but we need to continue. We can't have this old blood sitting in you. So they just continue.
Babies come out fine, placenta is fine, no signs of possible hemorrhaging. Then you hit the 5% again in the low bracket.
Yeah.
Were you in and out?
Yeah, and I just remember crying, and my mum's like, why are you crying? And I say this in my book, and I'm like, excuse me, like, what do you mean, why am I crying? Have you not seen what I've just been through? I'm so scared, and it was just fear. I honestly had no idea. This wasn't even in the realm. Like, no one really talked about the hemorrhage side of it and the cause of it. And because I'd had such a healthy pregnancy before, and I was healthy, like, I was going to the gym at up to 34 weeks. And doing box jumps. Like, I wasn't sitting at home doing nothing. I was consistently moving. We owned gyms at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I I just wanted to know why. Like, don't give me an unanswer. Give me the reason of maybe even just a possibility. This could have happened because of X, Y, Z, but they had no reason. And that image of my husband sitting with my baby has absolutely burnt into my brain.
And he's just met your baby for the first time as well. I mean,
just sitting there like,
it's so much the process for everyone.
Wife's going again? Am I going to lose her again? She's
Give
just
me a minute.
a child. Yeah. The celebration was cut very short. So that was my near-death second.
Okay.
Yeah, mental stuff.
Okay. Speaking of mental, you're here, and thank God for that. What you postpartum, all that. How hard was it to sort of mentally reconnect yourself after almost died from childbirth? But then you're also trying to build a relationship and nurture this child. Tell me about the first few weeks, months. I mean, surely they're just embedded in you, those memories.
That was a very hard time. We had owned business, we owned gyms, as I'd mentioned, and it just happened to be that the warehouse that we were running our business from had been sold, and the new owner decided that we needed to get out by December 31st. So this is Christmas time. I've just had a baby. I've got my other son at home. It's COVID.
That's 2 weeks later, isn't it? Isn't it the 18th you said?
Yeah, and I ended up getting, I just would bawl my eyes out every time I walked past my older son's room. I could not help it. I felt really sad all the time. And
you got COVID?
I didn't that first time, but we were going through COVID.
Yeah.
And so we weren't really able to, we was kind of scared to leave the house type situation. A lot of time at home. Recovery on my body was okay. I bounced back quicker than I did with the first, but my mental state was really, really tired. And I called my mum one night and I said, why am I crying when I walk past or I look at my firstborn, Memphis, his name is. Why am I crying when I look at Memphis' room? I ended up walking past his room like this every day when he was at school.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so terrible. It's like my heart had just been ripped out of my chest. And she said, you've got baby blues, so we need to watch that because it could turn into the postpartum depression. And I was like, what do you mean?
Baby blues?
Yeah, so it's like the teaser to, your postnatal, and it can get really, really bad. So that was new to me. I didn't know anyone that had had that. It was a very old-fashioned term.
Sounds very old-fashioned, yeah.
I'd heard my nan talk about it a couple of times, baby blues, and I was like, what the hell? But then in newer age, it was postpartum or postnatal depression. But I was just a mess, and my husband wasn't home. He was having to strip back, a 300 square warehouse back to what it was before. He was repainting stuff. He's pulling up floor tiles, and he just wasn't there. And that was really hard for him. He knew where he needed to be, but we had to get this business moved. There was no other way. That was our income, and it was a franchise, so we needed to abide by their guidelines, and we had no other way out. So I was struggling at home. He was struggling at work. We were coming back together and just almost just collapsing on each other. It was just a really shitty time for us. But
you're going through one of the toughest chapters of your life, and a lot of people during that period are not recognizable in terms of who their characters are.
Yeah.
It's like, who's this person that I was dealing with 3 months ago?
So true.
So, I mean, that's at the end of the day, it's ultimately, it just continued to, I think, solidify and affirm all those fights and struggles you went through as a kid that they came through again so you could survive this.
100%. Yeah.
It's amazing. And then what sort of happened after that was the biggest fight of all, from what I've read, early 2022, when COVID is finally sort of finished, I think, at this stage.
Yeah.
I'll let you explain it, but I've got it down here that you slowly sort of mentally were fading before everything collapsed at a time where you started to realize, like, it was all becoming too serious and a lot. But please take me through 2022 and what you went through.
So my last memory of 2022 from a span of maybe 4 to 6 weeks was January 29th. I got COVID early January. My friend and I must have picked it up from Pacific Fair, because she got it as well. And it was very mild, very, very mild. I was out by like the 5th or 6th day doing groceries, no drama, not even a fever, just cold and flu symptoms. And then I deteriorated very, very quickly. I stopped eating. I was falling into the furniture. I stopped talking. I have no memory, absolutely no memory from the 29th of January. And the only memory I have, and the thing that jogged me, was a video I had of my kids in their in their little blow-up pool. We had just built a tiny home on my mum's property, and that was one of our life goals. We wanted to just bring the boys back down to earth a little bit and live off the land a little bit more and own our property, and that's what we did. And then this just shoved a big-ass fork in our face and just screwed everything up. And I was taken to multiple doctor's appointments and sent home every time. It's just post-COVID. She needs to rest. My mum and
Your husband was saying, he was begging them, saying something's wrong here.
So much. My mum would take me.
Yeah.
Mum would take me to a doctor. My husband would go to work. I still had those kids at school, pick a kindy, and they just said, "This is not my daughter, and this is not my wife. Like, what's happening to her? She's not eating." And I just kept repeating, "I'm just tired. I need to sleep. I'm just tired. I need to sleep." That's all I was saying. And my little one at the time was six, and I'd been organising his birthday party, and I was then eventually taken to a GP that diverted from the script. And although my symptoms looked normal and my blood tests were normal, he looked at me and he looked at my mum and said, "There's something going on here. Everything's come back normal, but you need to take her to emergency right now. There's something going on with her." Now, my mum thought it was this little guy that had gone into my brain. She thought for sure the melanoma had spread into a cancer in my brain. Like, I was quite literally a zombie. I was so vacant. And they finally got me to emergency. This was after multiple GP appointments and another hospital had sent me home.
What did the doctor tell you to do when you got there? Did he even know what for them to check?
Just speak about my symptoms and plead my case. Do not leave. Like, fight. Because he couldn't answer anything. He didn't know what was happening. So finally got me into emergency. They ended up doing a lumbar puncture, which I couldn't even advocate for myself. I had no idea what was happening. That's
the spine, isn't it? The lumbar puncture, is that in your back? Or
the needle. They pulled out the fluid. They go and test it.
Yep. And I've watched Dr. Death a few times. So.
Oh yeah, good. Okay, correct.
That's where I get my information from.
No, it's fine. And my story is that my husband had missed a phone call. He was exhausted. He's working full time. He's helping, obviously, raising the children. He's fearful that I'm dying. My mother is living on the property. She's helping him. My brothers are all involved. My close friends, I had doctors and nurses that are friends that are doctors and nurses. They were all involved in it, trying to navigate what does that mean, explaining it to my husband. After, I think, a couple of days in emergency, they were going to discharge me. And my husband's literally screaming at them. My mother-in-law at that stage, she had done a nursing degree, and my husband's like, "Is this going to be bad?" And she said, "This is going to be bad. Like, something's happening. We'll take it one day at a time, but you need to prepare." And they put me. They ran the specialist had said, "Please don't send her home." The training doctor or whatever had missed something on my lumbar puncture scan, and they had diagnosed me with encephalomyelitis, which is, I always say, the ugly stepsister of encephalitis, which is just the myelin in the spine. But I got the brain inflammation, and the spinal cord was completely, the myelin was chewed away.
Yeah, very rare neurological condition.
Yeah, it
right?
is. Yeah, it is.
Again, right? Yeah.
On top of that, I was diagnosed with a rare antibody called mogliodendrolytis, and they don't know how I picked that up. So what happened was, instead of my body helping me get better, when I got COVID, it attacked my immune system. And then the encephalomyelitis, I'm not sure where that plays a part in it. They said we need to put her into a coma because we need to monitor her organs. It's the safest way for us. And so they put me into a coma. During that coma, my son turned 7 and he celebrated his birthday. The birthday I was planning for 3 or 4 weeks, and I wasn't there. And I have photos of everyone there. And it pains me to think that everyone knew where I was and that I wasn't there. And
you didn't even know where you were. Like,
no.
You know, it was just...
No, and I think it was 3 days they'd had me in it, and then they pulled me out of it. And my mum came in and said, "You're awake." And I just said, "Yeah, but I can't feel my legs." And I was, paralysed from the waist down. I was wearing a nappy. I had a catheter full time. I was in the most excruciating pain. I would have 100, I would tear from any hole before I go through this pain again. I would have 100 births natural. This pain.
There's no muscle strength or anything.
Like, oh my God, the nerve damage was so severe that I slept sitting up. Like, sleeping, laying down was new. It was a new thing to me. But The lights didn't actually come back on until I was in the neurology ward. And it was honestly like someone just took a blindfold off me, and all the noises around me, finally I could see who was talking. And it was my mum at the end of the bed and a nurse, and I didn't feel like myself. It was very strange, and I had no idea why I was there, how long I'd been there, what had happened over the last 4 to 5 weeks. So by this time it was February 14th. And from there, I was essentially just a guinea pig. They'd not had anyone that had had a COVID strain, the rare antibody, and the encephalomyelitis. And so they didn't know what the hell was happening to me. And I spent 3 months away from my family, learning to walk again, learning to stand again, learning to sleep again, shower again. My skin was like acid. The water, I would be just bawling my eyes out in the shower because like the water hitting my skin was just immeasurable pain. The catheter caused me a lot of stress and fear. It had been pulled out a couple of times by a nurse, the bag filled with blood. I had to get out of nappies. I wanted to get home so bad, and I was ready to do anything I needed to get back home to my kids. Yeah.
You're self-described as the medical anomaly, the
Maybe.
the 1%,
Yeah.
and you're just taking me down memory lane. I'm even like sort of holding back sort of my own sort of like pain, but I just same thing. It was just like when you went into a coma, like you said, those weeks leading up, you have no memory of them anymore. It's like, what happened? How did I get to that? And then you've woken up, and I was only out for 7 days, but any memory, anything they tell you, it sounds like it happened a lifetime ago.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's like, wow, that must have been when I was like 10. It's like, no, that was like, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So you've spoken openly in your book about, as the things you just aforementioned, catheters, nappies, the 1%, as we said.
Yeah.
Losing independence.
Yeah.
So when you came to and you started to slowly piece things together, were you confident in rebuilding a path as to what it would be like when you finally got out? Or were you just like, it's day by day right now?
There was a time in hospital that I had no vision of how this was going to work. All I knew was if I was to get home to my children, I didn't care if I was still in a wheelchair or if I was running. But in all honesty, if I'm being quite frank, I knew deep down I'd be walking out of there. I knew what I was capable of, and this wasn't going to stop me. And it'd been 2 times before it tried to take me from my family, and it wasn't happening again. And third time's the charm, and let's just make it a nice little ring, shall we? And so I planned every day through the pain and the tears and the screaming and the medication changes and my family supporting me and my friends. I was embarrassed to tell everyone what was going on. I don't like to.
Why embarrassed? What's embarrassing?
Because I was not in control, and I think there was definitely a part of it that I don't like to wallow in my grief, and I just take it on board. I'll deal with it mentally, and then I'll move through it. And that alone, to me, that getting on the other side of that grief or that sadness or that anger that's the goal for me. Yeah. And that's my drive. But this was so unforeseen, and I couldn't plan anything. Every day was different. Every pain was different. Every night's sleep was different, and every rehab outcome was different. I couldn't plan it, and I hated that so much. And I had to learn to go with the flow, because if I didn't, I would have just hit too many walls, and I wouldn't have been home. I would have either been in a wheelchair, I would have wheeled myself out of that hospital and hated myself for just settling with that outcome. So my friends, my nurse friends and doctor friends and pharmacist friends, I was very, very blessed to have all these people behind me that knew the system well. They had set up a GoFundMe page for me because my husband obviously had to take time off work. My medication was hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month, and I didn't know what work looked like for me in the near future. My kids still need to live, and so they started me the GoFundMe, and at first I said no thank you. And they came back to me and they said, we strongly think you need to be saying yes to this, but we don't want to pressure you because they know that I'm a proud person. And I thought of my husband being at work full time and raising my kids that I can't help him. And he deserves to have some peace when we get home. And I said yes. And we ended up raising 22.
Okay.
that I had a $5,000 budget. I was like, 5,000, that's fine. We'll just make it work. That'll be like maybe a couple
That's
weeks.
great.
Mental.
That's
And
great.
it just kept going. And all these people I didn't know were saying,
I feel like I want to get back in time to contribute after hearing this. I really
oh,
do.
bless you. No, I honestly was gobsmacked, and I'm just one little gal, and I didn't know, I didn't understand how these strangers had thought, yeah, she deserves this. But
So that goes back to what we were talking about with your desire for control. I think that comes from your upbringing in terms of I don't want to be like my mum, so I want to be in control of everything. And then you feel like you've got it. All of a sudden, it's like, no, we're back to square one now.
100%.
And it's like, hold on, that's undoing all my work.
Yes.
But I think sometimes you've just got to let the universe take control if you want, or let God take control, because look what you get. You get this wonderful support network that you weren't aware of.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really was. And I am so, so, so grateful, even to the women and the mums and dads that I'd met through school, just during that short period of time. My kids' kindy, and they're still very close with me now. And I honestly am just so grateful that I had that support system. And I probably didn't lean on them as much as I should have. But I did what felt right to me. And I owe a lot of them, to my, I guess, my recovery, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk to me about how you would describe resilience when no one's watching.
Oh, God. I think resilience when no one is watching is the biggest honor to yourself.
Yeah.
I truly think that if you can hold your own and stay true to yourself when there's no visitors and no onlookers and people that aren't viewing it and liking it are commenting on it, I think that is truly the biggest honor to who you are that you could be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's different to strength. Strength comes from, I think, at a surface level, and everyone's like, you're so strong, KG. How'd you get through it? I would have died if I did. I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I believe everyone's got a driving force somewhere, and that was just my children and the life I have been literally dying to build, and I wasn't going to let this thing, carry me the other direction. I was so close to being where I wanted to be. And so strength, I think, is, here, but resilience, to be able to pull from that and continuously pull from it and don't let it waver and don't let it shock you. I think that's huge, massive to someone to just literally just as a human, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And in resilience, you went from walking or learning to walk to running again, ultimately a marathon.
I did, yeah.
Tell me about the marathon.
A year later, and I just had gone back to the gym. Like, I'm still numb from the waist down. So just a little note, to get home to my children and my husband and my family, they said, you have to learn to self-catheterize.
Right.
And oh my God, that fear for me was, I'll never forget the feeling. And
self-catheterize?
Yeah.
As in to go to the toilet and stuff like that? I'm like, wow.
They couldn't send me home with a continuous catheter. They can't leave you with one.
Yeah, it's getting to be infectious and all that. I can appreciate that, but wow, I can imagine.
That was the one thing.
Ugh, yeah.
So that was fearful for me.
Just for a side note, for those listening, I've also had one too. So I know the pain of having one, let alone trying to do it yourself. Yeah.
And it was a lot of fear around that. So to have one consistently and it absolutely ruin your body, and to have to do it yourself, and it's still UTIs every 4 weeks and have to be on antibiotic, gut was just ruined.
It can really ruin you mentally. I actually thought I'd never have kids as a result of it. Like,
it did.
That much damage I felt. So
no, I feel you on that. So a year later, I was, I'd say about 8 to 10 months later, I was back at the gym. I was treadmill, and I had lost so much muscle mass. I think I'd lost like 3.5 kilos in the first few weeks. I had nothing left. I was just immobile, and I'm not a big person as it is, so for me to just be laying there and be genuinely fit beforehand, that got to me a lot. And so, friends of mine were like, we're going to do it. Do you want to sign up? And I was like, Jesus, I've never bloody run 5Ks. Sure. And then they pulled out. And so I did it on my own.
I knew what they were doing.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But what an accomplishment.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Honestly, 5Ks. And I beat my time by, I think, like 6 minutes or something like that.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And I've just, continued that path ever since then.
Yeah.
That was probably
5
the
Ks is a lot. That's Sutherland to Surf for us in Sydney. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I think it's 5.
Yeah.
No, maybe it's more. But no, because but it's a lot. Like I could, just to do it on a daily is a big stretch. So
Yeah.
and just where you were just, a few months
Yeah.
earlier. So
Yeah.
hats off to you. Your
Yeah.
memoir. Your
Yeah.
memoir. Your
Yeah.
memoir. Yeah, The Day I Died.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the event, the title itself is not about one event, but it documents obviously all these wonderful moments. And I'm going to say wonderful because of what they've led to.
Yeah.
That's I guess my optimism. I look at them as wonderful and they're wonderful lessons. But everything changed. So you've we touched on, as we said before, you've got your cancer, your childbirth, your trauma. It's like, what point do you actually start writing this book?
Yeah.
And rebuilding yourself over and over. It's like, hold on, should I just wait another month before I write anymore? But for anyone that's hearing about the book for the first time, I've only been looking at it for the last week. But if someone didn't want to disregard it just because of what they read on the paperback, how would you describe what you want people to take from it?
I want people to know that everyone's going to have a shit ton of dark times in their life. Everyone. You can't outrun that, unfortunately. But accountability is huge, and digging deep is the best way you're going to get out of it. I think that if you read the blurb, it's still a very poetic form of writing. I'm not rhyming words or anything, but it's still very raw and lyrical. It's always been how I've written. Yeah,
there's passion in it. It's not something that you just pulled out of a bot like ChatGPT. There was a lot of love there.
Yeah, God no.
At least from what, yeah, absolutely.
I want them to take from it that if I can do it, they can bloody do it. If I've come from a family of generational trauma and abuse and no money and not kicking the goals that I deserved when I was younger, they can bloody do this. They've just got to trust themselves. I think that it's so common that mums especially, we are so stuck in self-doubt, and I don't believe that.
Yeah, I agree, by the way, having interviewed so many on this program.
Yeah, I bet,
it's uncommon. It's not common, sorry.
No,
it's
you're
common.
right. Yeah, I hear you. And we are our own worst enemy. And I could have sat in that hospital bed and just stayed in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. I could have sat in the hospital bed and never got out and done rehab twice a day. Trust me, there were days that I was in tears because the pain was so bad. But the driving force, we've all got one. We've all got something. Could be travel. You might want to see the world. You might just want to finally snip that generational trauma bond, and now's the time. Why are we waiting for that? Why are we waiting to have let the universe dictate our future? I think that's really, really shitty, and I think it's an easy cop-out. I think it's really easy to say, well, timing wasn't right, or I don't have enough. What will be. Yeah. Some things can't let what will be. You have to dictate some things in your life that navigate it. And I truly believe that we've all got that driving force. I definitely had that, and quitting was not an option for me. It was never an option. I saw failure as the lowest point of my life, and I owed it to myself to do better. And that's all that I could say in that. That's the honest. Yeah, as cliche as it sounds, there was no way I was going home in that wheelchair. No way, no.
But it can sound cliche, and everyone can say the same thing cliche. Once you unpack it and you look under the iceberg as to how you came to that conclusion, there's nothing everything's unique in that regard.
Yeah, agreed.
How did you come about the idea to want to write it?
I was talking to a friend at a cafe one day, and she said, "Holy shit, you've been through a lot. Why don't you get this on paper?" And I said, "Nah, no one wants to hear that crap." And I had time off. Yeah, I shut it down. I was like, nah. And I had time off work in between some styling gigs, and I just was like, I need to get this crap out. And honestly, once I started, it just flowed, and I sent it off to 4 or 5 publishers, and I got 3 contracts back. And once I finally settled on that, it was just literally skyrocketed from there. It's been a journey. Yeah.
Beautiful. Link in the description for anyone listening. Definitely I'll point you to it.
Amazing.
How important is it for your children to one day understand who their mum is? Because I'm going back to generational.
Yeah.
So
and
this is what it's about, right?
Yeah, very good question. That is my ultimate life goal, and I need them to see me as not a strong mum. I think 99.99% of mums are strong. They've got a level of strength there. You've got to birth a child, you've got to raise a child, nurture a child, feed a child. We all have that strength in us, right? But there is a level of resilience that I know I have now, and I'm trying so hard to instill it in them. I'm trying so hard to show them that life isn't all rainbows and butterflies, and it is going to send you to some really shitty places. And as long as you are accountable for your actions and you know that you've done the lead up work and you're not continuously on this hamster wheel of lies to yourself, and there is a level of accountability for your own actions and you're learning from your lessons. If they can visualize that in me, I think they have. I think they've seen what I've been through, and they know now that I've written a book. They only found out last week, I told them, and they were just truly in awe. And that was very sweet to see. And they were interested. They were asking me questions like, how did that feel, Mum? What's a hemorrhage? What has happened? They were asking me.
Yeah, inquisitive. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they were. And it just made me feel a whole lot better about this decision to write all of this on paper. It was a lot and hard for me to open up on this and let everyone see me for what's been happening and my vulnerability. I don't do well with that. So that's been a big step for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've come here and you've really opened up. And I think you mentioned that you haven't spoken at length about these matters before. So thank you for entrusting me with it. I hope I serve you well. What about Mum? What do you want to tell her right now?
Mum, I just want you to be happy. I just want happiness for her, and I just want her to know that I see her worth, and I've always seen her worth from a very little age, and I just wished she could see it too. And I love you.
Absolutely. And of course, the other silent hero, your husband, who I didn't even catch his name. I'm so sorry.
His name is Ricardo.
Ricardo, what would you like him to know?
He is the best human I've ever met in my life, and pretty much perfect to me. And I don't think I would have been able to get through what I got through without his side of resilience and his persistence and his unwavering love. Like, I've been in some ugly places and I've looked ugly inside and out, and he has just come to me and said, we'll make it work, we're going to be okay every time.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you need to hear. Like, it will happen. We're together.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
People that are feeling completely broken by life, I know you've touched on, the life is colourful, it's not linear. What about just in terms of from a mental point of view, if they're looking to rebuild, what would the first approach be?
Accountability. There is no growth if you are lying to yourself. Absolutely no growth. You have to be able to look at yourself and ask yourself the really difficult questions, and don't just ask them, answer them properly. I've just started a small business very early in the works, so I'm taking my time on it because I want it to be right for women. But essentially, it's a truth cycle kit, and I ask all the dirty questions, the ones that you are scared to ask yourself and you don't want to answer. And it's just a printable version of you to look inward and say, holy shit, what have I been doing? And it's just going to be a nice little binder of all of your mistakes, because we all make a shit ton of them. No one's perfect. But the sooner we can speak about them openly, not to anyone else, it doesn't need to be spoken about anyone else, just answer it for yourself and to yourself only. That is going to be your best step forward to, I guess, living, as cliche as it sounds, but living your best life. Everyone deserves that.
Yeah.
Why is it such a difficult notion to think that we deserve to be traveling the world and eating great food and making memories with our kids, or if we don't have kids, on our own, meet people out and about and
make memories.
Yeah, and this kid is going to do that. It's only small, but it's going to be incredible once the women get a hold of it. It's going to help them ask the deep, dark questions and finally find a resolve at the end of it. Yeah.
What's on the horizon for you then beyond that? And what do you do for the day-to-day? You mentioned design. Or did I miss?
I've been in design and styling for a very long time. I now work in design admin, so I work for a building company. I do all of their renders for their kitchens and bathrooms.
Oh, nice. Oh, how cool. You get to design pretty bathrooms and kitchen. That's awesome. Yeah.
I love it. But we're actually moving to Italy in February. So
wow.
That's, we're going to.
Back to your roots.
In the works, back to the roots. Yeah, it's been in the works for a couple of years now, and we've just moved it up to Feb. Our boys are on
So
board.
Ricardo's Italian then as well?
Yeah, his father, biological father, so he's a citizen, so I'll be a resident because my nono got rid of all of his paperwork when he came to Melbourne, so I can't file anything document-wise until about 3 years. But we've surpassed all that paperwork. So yeah, that's our goal for the next 9 months, to prepare for the overseas life.
Well, I heard a rumor that you can buy a property for $1 there as long as you look after it.
It's very true. It's very true. Yeah.
Keep me posted on that one, please.
I will. Thank you.
KG's memoir, The Day I Died, is available now on pre-order, but you'll be able to follow on Instagram. I'll have all the links in the description when it goes live. I just really want to thank you for coming on. That was an incredible conversation.
Thank you.
And really yours to have. So is there any parting message you want to leave anyone that they should know and where to connect with you other beyond Instagram?
You know what? At the risk of saying cliche, I just think we can leave by saying you owe it to yourself. You don't owe it to anyone else. And I strongly have believed that from day one since I was little, watching my family repeat their cycles. And if they had known, if they had someone maybe like me in their corner that broke that trauma bond and that cycle, they would have done what they deserve to do for their life. But you owe it to yourself, nobody else. Yeah, you do. You know, it's you just got to heal yourself before you can heal others. Like, there's no point being a hero sometimes. 100%.
Really.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you for being part of the Comeback Blueprint podcast.
Thank you so much. I look forward to watching this and sharing with everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Best day. Talk soon.
You've been listening to the Comeback Blueprint podcast with Michael Sawan. Real stories, real struggles, real comebacks. Follow these comeback stories on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, and anywhere else you can find us on social media. And don't miss what's coming next.